It started with a tip. A concerned citizen in the city alerted police to a suspicious vehicle. When officers pulled it over downtown and opened the trunk, they made a heartbreaking discovery: a small, cramped metal cage holding 3 tiny, shivering lion cubs. The driver was immediately arrested, facing serious charges for the illegal international trafficking of endangered wildlife. The grim reality, according to investigators, was that the cubs' mother had been tragically shot and killed by poachers during their capture, a cruel act to make the vulnerable young ones easier to control. Police rushed the 3 fragile little lions to the station for urgent care. In the station's bustling main room, officers quickly gathered warm milk and soft towels. One young officer, clearly moved, sat on the floor, gently feeding one of the cubs from a plastic bottle. Slowly, the terrified animals began to calm, clinging to their rescuer's legs, a desperate search for any sign of comfort and support. The officers, going above and beyond their usual duties, took turns caring for them, wiping them clean and keeping their small temporary shelter immaculate. In those first few critical days, an unexpectedly deep bond began to form between these wild cubs and the dedicated officers. A few days later, experts from a renowned wildlife rescue center arrived to take over their specialized care. The cubs were placed in a purpose-built carrier, lined with soft straw and carefully loaded onto a truck. Their destination, a spacious, semi-wild enclosure at a dedicated wildlife sanctuary deep in the African bush. Here, the 3 young lions would begin their long and challenging road to psychological recovery. Ranger Edward Riddle, a seasoned wildlife expert, took on the crucial role of their primary caretaker and trainer. Each morning, Edward brought milk, gently calling each cub by the names he'd temporarily given them. He called them Saba, Taiko, and Maji, names he'd chosen to symbolize their fighting spirit and a hopeful future. The 3 little lions were still shy, their earlier trauma evident, but the raw panic of their initial rescue had started to fade. Gradually, they grew bolder, venturing out from the corners of their safe enclosure to climb, pounce, and explore their new surrounding. Edward spent countless hours talking to them in a calm voice, carefully petting them when they allowed, and engaging them in playful games designed to sharpen their natural instincts and reflexes. Every afternoon, he'd sit reading near their enclosure, a quiet, reassuring presence to help them feel secure in this new world. However, over time, he noticed a worrying change. They stopped eating with their usual enthusiasm and grew withdrawn, their playful energy gone. Edward realized that despite the excellent care and safe environment, the 3 cubs still desperately, deeply missed their mother. He meticulously documented their psychological development, his notes filled with concern, and sought urgent guidance from the sanctuary's management. An emergency meeting was convened. The top priority, finding the best path forward for these special, orphaned lions. In the meeting room, Edward detailed the fragile emotional state of the 3 young cubs. He emphasized that losing their mother at such a tender, formative age had scarred them, leaving them emotionally vulnerable and struggling to cope. A biologist then proposed a bold, unconventional idea. Could another animal step in as a surrogate mother? Many in the room voiced immediate objections, concerned this might disrupt the lion's crucial development of natural instincts, confusing their wild identity. But Edward, drawing on his years of hands-on experience, argued passionately. He believed that immediate love, comfort, and a maternal presence were more critical for their immediate survival than instinct alone at this fragile stage. He suggested a gentle, loving Labrador named Bella, a longtime sanctuary resident who had an amazing track record of assisting in the rehabilitation of other orphaned animals. The skeptics, though hesitant, finally agreed to a trial period under extremely close supervision. The plan would span several weeks. If it showed any signs of failure or distress, they'd immediately explore other options. Edward pledged to monitor every single interaction, take meticulous notes, and provide daily reports. The meeting ended with a glimmer of hope, a hope that the heart of a mother wasn't exclusive to one species. The very next day, Edward began the careful, delicate process of introducing Bella to the cubs. Initially, Bella kept her distance, calmly observing, while the 3 wary lion cubs watched her every move, unsure of this new creature. Edward allowed the interactions to unfold naturally, with the safety of a low fence between them. After a few days of this gentle acclimation, Bella moved closer, sitting down and sniffing the air near the cub's enclosure, her tail giving a soft thump. Saba, always the bravest of the trio, was the first to approach, cautiously extending his neck and gently touching his nose to Bella's. Maji and Tycho, encouraged by Saba's boldness, cautiously followed, soon surrounding Bella without any sign of fear. Then, in a moment that brought tears to Edward's eyes, Bella lay down, her legs spread in a clear, gentle invitation. The 3 tiny lion cubs scrambled into her embrace, nuzzling into her warm fur. It was a magical, heart-stopping connection, bridging species in a way no one could have predicted. Bella began to care for them as if they were her very own, patiently licking their fur, watching over them with a protective gaze, and gently guiding their play. The 3 lion cubs clung to Bella, sleeping soundly beside her, tumbling and playing together, and vying for a spot close to her warm, comforting belly. The sanctuary staff watched in daily amazement as this extraordinary, unlikely bond deepened. Bella taught them gentleness and trust, and for these orphaned cubs, she became the mother they'd so tragically lost. The maternal bond between a sweet-natured dog and 3 growing lions formed, surpassing all natural boundaries. Bella was their mother, their protector, their closest friend. Saba, Tycho, and Maji thrived under her care. Their fur grew sleek and golden, their muscles strong and agile. They began to learn the arts of climbing and stalking through the sanctuary's carefully designed training games, honing the skills they'd need. Bella was always nearby, though sometimes playfully nudged aside by the growing, stronger cubs whose play was becoming more robust. She never abandoned her motherly role, always following closely, watching from a short distance with a proud look in her eyes. They learned to eat solid food, to defend themselves in play fights, and to behave like the young kings of the savannah they were meant to be. Edward closely tracked every milestone, overjoyed by their unexpected maturity and resilience. Their affection for Bella remained, a deep and abiding connection, but it was no longer the complete dependence of their early, fragile days. These 3 young lions, now strong and confident, were ready for the wild. After extensive discussion with an expert panel, the decision was made. It was time to release the 3 young lions back into their ancestral land. The transport truck was carefully prepared with a large, secure iron cage. Bella, intuitively sensing a change, came along to say goodbye. That morning, Saba, Tycho, Maji, and Bella were taken to a sprawling release area in a vast African wilderness, a landscape perfectly suited for lions. When the truck stopped and the cage door swung open, the 3 lions stepped out first, their paws touching wild earth, then turned to look at Bella. She emerged, gently licking each lion's face, a final, motherly farewell. Saba rubbed his head against Bella's neck in a clear display of affection. Maji lay down at her feet for a moment, and Tycho licked Bella's nose with a clear reluctance to part. Edward watched from afar, his heart swelling with a profound mix of pride and bittersweet sadness. The 3 lions turned their heads one last time, a final acknowledgement, then broke into a powerful run, quickly disappearing into the tall savanna grasses. Bella didn't chase. She just sat, watching with knowing, silent eyes, her tail gently swishing on the grass. As the vehicle slowly drove away, Edward reached over and patted Bella on the back. "You're a miracle worker, girl." The vast, open plains welcomed the 3 young lions home, back to where they belonged. From now on, they would run free, relying on their own incredible strength, the instinctual memories of their kind, and the incredible, unlikely love that had nurtured them against all odds. A new chapter of survival, wild integration, and true independence lay before them. As for Bella, she hadn't lost her cubs. She had empowered them to become who they were destined to be. Her love would forever echo in the hearts of these magnificent predators, born to rule the plains. Thank you so much for watching their incredible journey. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button, subscribe for more amazing animal stories, and don't forget to share this video to spread the hope.